Hello, this is Catherine Clement in Boulder, Colorado, and this is my weekly wellness Zoom. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Dennis, and I'm going to let him tell you about all the wonderful things he's up to, but just healing people left and right. So it's just a pleasure to talk with you today, Dr. Dennis. And I know you do a radio show, so before we get finished here, I want to make sure that everybody has all your contact information, and I'll also put that in the on the YouTube video when I post it up on YouTube, and I'll get you those replays as well. So thank you so much for joining me, and this is going to be a great discussion, I know. So thank you for joining me today.
Well, you're welcome, Catherine. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm pleased to be here. So we have about an hour, right? Okay. So I don't actually view that I'm healing people. I just help them be open to spirit. So grace can come in and do that. And I have several technologies that help to facilitate that. So basically what I do is quote unquote energy medicine, but I call myself a metaphysician of Asian medicine. So let me give you some of my background first. My doctorate is in health and exercise science, and I was a professor of exercise physiology and health education for about 20 years, including the University of New Mexico and University of Miami. And everywhere I went, I started wellness programs or fitness programs, which were my teaching and research labs. So what professors do is community service and teaching and research, and so the wellness programs did all three. And my research was in physical fitness, endorphins, and emotional stability, and I developed a theory that endorphins were a biochemical component of Qi, which seems kind of naive now because we recognize Qi now as more energetic than having a biochemical basis, but back in the 80s that seemed logical or coherent. And the Chinese Medical Association invited me, along with other members of the American College of Sports Medicine, to visit China. So this was in 1985, and I presented my research by invitation in Shanghai. And then I published it in the Chinese Journal of Sports Medicine. So I was one of the first exercise scientists to show that depression can be relieved by doing physical activity, and it has a biochemical basis for that in the endorphins. But I was a martial artist first, and that's what interested me in Qi, or the energy medicine components of what martial art does, because martial art has a lot to do with healing, and even though it's got self-defense in it, the parts I'm interested in are the healing aspects and helping people with the energy. So after 20 years as a professor, I decided to go back to school, and I studied Asian medicine. And so I'm also trained as a physician of Asian medicine. And instead of doing the regular work that a physician of Asian medicine would do, like acupuncture, and there are actually 5 branches of Asian medicine, which you all might know about. 80% of the medicine is herbology, and also acupuncture. And then there is nutritional strategy, nutritional dietetics, and Tuina, which is massage, and also Qigong, which is energy work. So I specialize in the Qigong, or the energy work, and I use mostly energy needles and change energetic patterns. And so I consider that I'm more a metaphysician of Asian medicine. So I go to the spiritual causes of imbalances. In Chinese medicine, the paradigm is threefold. You have Jing and Qi and Shen. Hierarchically, the Jing is the physical essence, and that's what our our Western physicians study is the physical, and they become allopathic physicians and they focus on drugs and surgery, but they tend to ignore the other two components of our health, which are the energy or the qi and the spirit or the shen. Now, our shen or our spirit interacts with morphic fields around us, energetic fields. And those fields are created by consciousness and what people are thinking around us, and electromagnetic frequencies like our telecommunications. And so our environment can affect our field and therefore our shen. And that shen influences the balance of the qi in the yin and yang, as would be referred to in Chinese medicine. And then that qi, which according to the ancient texts like the Wang Di Ne Jing or the Yellow Empress Classic of Internal Medicine, the qi is actually a material thing. It's not spirit. It's a material substance. And what I view it as is a resonance between spirit and physical. Just like in modern physics, we recognize that a particle resonates between being in a physical state as a particle and a waveform state as an energy. So that resonance is what really characterizes the difference, and that's what we see in the qi, is a resonation between the shen and the jing.
Wonderful.
So in a nutshell, that's the background.
That's awesome. So, gosh, where do I even want to start with you? So we have some similarities. I'm not an Asian physician or anything, but I've been doing energy work since I was 2, and
Awesome.
Not trained, of course, at a young age, because my family was basically scared to death of me. But my grandmother remembered that I reminded her of her mother, which sort of made sense. But then as I got older, I started studying different modalities, and I always preferred what I did as a child. I always preferred that pureness, and what I found with different modalities is that they, much like religion, tended to follow somebody's path, which is good sometimes, but not, of course not good for everybody. But I've enjoyed. I've also done medical Qigong, and I do esoteric acupuncture, which is needleless energetic acupuncture.
Mm-hmm.
So and I do some other things, mostly with collective consciousness work and things like that. So, and helping empaths that don't know that they are, and things like that. So, but we could talk probably for the whole weekend. So tell me what you're doing now in your daily practice, helping people. I know you can't make claims and things like that, but just, tell us what would be the typical person that comes to you, and what can you offer them? I know you work with several different modalities, so I'd love to hear a little bit about each one of them, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, I'm in the Los Angeles area, and we have a free community clinic there that is actually a health education clinic. So people can come to a forum where we discuss energy medicine from the perspective of Asian medicine, and include our modalities such as crystal patches and properly structured water that's electrolyzed, and nutritional concentrates. And I have a number of other things besides products, such as that I specialize in, such as Qigong, as I mentioned before, and also Huna, and also Matrix Energetics. So we combine everything together and see what works best for people that are visiting. And we get a lot of visitors from Hollywood, a number of which are stunt people that are walking in, for example, to the clinic, all stiff and broken up from years of doing stunt work. They can hardly move. They can barely touch their knees, let alone their toes. And we do some energy work on them, including putting pain relief patches on them. And they end up having more range of motion, and the energy from the patches clears their blockages. Because in Chinese medicine, pain is caused by blockages to the flow of qi. So the patches increase the flow of qi and break through the blockages and relieve the pain. So we're getting rid of the cause of the pain, not blocking the pain the way Western medicine would. And then they end up getting a big smile on their face and moving around in a way that they can't believe and trying to make it hurt again. and then they forget about their cane or their walker that they came in with and dance down the stairs when they leave.
That's beautiful. That's I remember the days that I gave away my walker and my wheelchairs, and because I'm twice out of a wheelchair myself, so
Wow.
those are beautiful days. Yeah.
So you're a wounded warrior.
I am a wounded warrior healer person. But as you said, we don't do the healing. God just works through us. And that's one of the reasons why, I learn something from each modality, but I still have to keep it between me and spirit, what's going on. So it's just the way it works. And it's a beautiful thing. My first out-of-body experience I remember from age 2, and I knew things were like way different from what was being presented to me in the rest of my waking time, so it was very interesting. And I've had some just profound experiences, that it's funny because some people will say that they utilize drugs to have profound experiences, but my non-drug experiences are way more profound than any drug experiences that I've ever had. So, but
yeah, who needs drugs when you can go on a shamanic trip without them?
Exactly. And I tried, I'm a kid from the 60s, so I certainly did my share coming up, and I was like, I don't see what the big deal is with this. I got cooler shit going on, without it. So it was just a lot of fun, but scary sometimes, sometimes things get misunderstood. But it's really interesting. I know, watching over the past, say, 20 years, how energy work is being more accepted in the mainstream, even though the doctors aren't really talking about it yet. I was also a registered nurse for 20 years. So, Oh my gosh, the battles I've had with doctors, you cannot believe it. But they learned.
I guess I would.
Yeah, they learned to trust me. If I called them at 3 a.m. and said, this kid's going to crash in 2 hours, they knew to get in their car and come to the hospital right away, because I was always, thank God, I always had the foresight to, be able to call things like that. But yeah, I worked in neonatal intensive care, so I was primarily giving life-saving drugs. Thank God I wasn't giving all of the, chronic medications that Big Pharma has people on now, 8, 10, 12, 15 medications. And I was always telling the patient, you can do this and get off of that drug, and the doctors just hated me for that, of course, because it's really a business. I know that you're aware of this, but I have a certain person in mind today that I would like to kind of do some restructuring for her. And she's,
before you get into that, when you said when the last few sentences you said about hospitals and all that, the story just showed up for me that I got to share with everybody from my experience. When I was going to school, I was a medic and I worked in emergency rooms. And this was like 30 years ago now. The hospital where I worked was run by a Catholic order, and this nun that was kind of crippled from the Nazis in World War II used to go around on this go-kart through the hallway of the hospital. So we're in the emergency room working on this guy who experienced some trauma, and he was in a lot of pain, and we're trying to save his life and the whole bit. And the sister comes in, she jumps off her go-kart and she runs into the curtain area where we are, where his cot or bed is. And she slaps him on the arm. You know, the order owns the hospital, so she felt like she could go anywhere. So she goes right in and right in the middle of what we're doing, and she slaps him on the arm and she goes, "Don't fight it. Let Jesus take you." The semi just creamed. Still can't hear you, Catherine, but I can see you now and you're not frozen.
Sorry about that. I should have warned you. Sometimes my internet goes wacky, so just hang in there. I'll be back if I drop away.
Oh, now you're freezing again.
Uh-oh. Hopefully it'll catch up here.
So you're frozen again, and I don't hear you anymore.
I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Imperfect technology, I guess. I can hear you typing now. Okay, now I got you. You're moving and you're laughing. I can hear that.
All right, good deal. I can hear you fine.
Good. All right.
So I lost you at, she slapped him and said, "Don't fight it, let Jesus take you." That's the last thing I heard.
Right, and then I started telling another story about the time I was a medic when we got to this emergency call in the canyon where the interstate is, and this drunk 17-year-old guy that had a car full of teenagers with him pulled into the median and didn't see a semi coming, and the semi just totally creamed the car, and the driver got his head caught between the door and the roof as the semi was hitting. And when we got to the scene, I could see his empty skull just open and lying there without a brain. So I don't know what happened to his brain, but that left an unforgettable impression on me. And this happened like 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, actually, believe it or not, small world, but that very same thing happened to my cousin when I was like 16, and the car in front of him, this is a genius kid, like he was in college. His last 2 years of high school, he was also doing college, and he came home, it was Christmas holiday, and his mom, my aunt, sent him to the store for more wrapping paper. And the car in front of him stopped to keep from hitting a dog, and he swerved out in a semi. And they were taking his brains off of the front of the grill of the semi, and they wouldn't touch him for 24 hours. They said if he's alive, they stopped bleeding, but as far as they didn't think he was going to make it. And he was so badly damaged. He actually lived for 6 years, trapped in his body.
Wow.
And from the day of his accident, I had a living will. So I've had a living will since I was 16 because I could communicate with him somewhat, just with him, but his body didn't work at all. And he was not, he was kind of regretting the mission he chose, I think, as we all do at certain times along our way. So we're like, did I really choose this? Come on now. But yeah, it was, things like that teach everybody, and there's always purpose, but it was difficult to watch. It really was.
So before we go on with this case, can you brief me on what the turtles are about behind your head there?
Well, I'm Seneca, Turtle Clan, so I love
Oh,
turtles.
okay.
But this is just like a thing. It's a sarong. It's like I wear it as a skirt sometimes, but it's from Hawaii, and Hawaii is one of the places I want to visit. So it's almost part of my dream board. And yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Kind of like that movie where the turtlet goes cha.
yeah.
Finding Nemo. That one. That's what.
Finding Nemo. Yeah, that was a cute one. I'm a grandma, so I know all the Disney films. Yeah. But so I know that you talked about some crystal patches,
Mm-hmm.
and would you like to expound a little bit on that technology? It's fairly most people don't know about it, I would venture to say.
Okay.
I live
Well,
in Boulder, Colorado, so I know about almost everything.
yeah, the ones that I'm referring to that we use, I actually use them in ways that are off label from the manufacturer or the company that makes them, which is LifeWave. And I use them the way the ancient alchemists used to use crystals to reinforce energetic transformations. So since I do energy work and I get energetic transformations in the pattern that's going on, I use those crystals to help reinforce a transformation in the energy grid. But they can also be used the way they were designed, which is to get rid of pain really quickly. And there are also 7 different kinds of patches that actually follow a 5-element paradigm. In brief, they give you more energy without getting fatigued, with the absence of fatigue. So you're not wired the way you would be with caffeine, but you have the absence of fatigue all day. And those are the energy enhancer patches. There's also a set called SP6, which stands for 6-step patches. And those 6 steps are for weight loss. And the patches are designed to curb craving. And they work on the satisfaction reward system in the brain. So for the Simple Plan 6-step patch, you get your craving curbed or any kind of addiction. And I find that those patches work off-label on people that have problems with their satisfaction reward system, that have addictions, craving for things like alcohol or drugs. And it mitigates that. And since they work on the endorphin system, and I referred earlier about how I have expertise in endorphins, I can see how they work on the endorphin system, which is part of the satisfaction reward system in the brain, to make you feel better and to prevent you from overeating. So because they access the hormones like endorphins, they also help with hormone balance. And had women come into the clinic that are having dysregulation of their menses and pain and the chi is stuck around their liver channel. They put the patches on, or I help them put them on certain places, and it gets rid of the stagnation and it rebalances their hormones. And the SP6 patch is one of them that helps with that. So long story short, as an example, many of the women have hot flashes that come for help, and they're sweating profusely.
I call them power surges.
Okay, power surges. But so you know what I mean. You're sweating profusely, and it comes and goes real fast. Well, you put the patch on a certain acupoint, and that's mitigated, like down to 80%. And you put another patch on another point, and 100% of that goes away. You don't have the hot flash symptoms anymore. And in Chinese medicine, there's no reason to have cramping or severe hot flashes when you're going through a period. So that's just one example of how you can apply Asian medicine, instead of using needles, to using these patches on balancing energy. Okay, so another one is ice wave, and that is for pain relief. And it clears blockages right away, immediately, in 99% of the cases. And if it doesn't work right away, you just reorient the configuration, because of the blockages causing the pain. You might need the patches in a different place from where the brochure tells you to put them. So you got to play with them to clear the blockage. And once the blockage is cleared, the pain might come back, so you just move the patches around again. So that's an ice wave patch. And those three patches I just went through, if you can picture the 5-element paradigm, are fire, earth, and metal. And then next on the creative cycle is water. And in the water element, we've got the sleep patches, or silent nights patches, and that helps people sleep. And what it actually does is send an energetic signal through phototherapy information to the pineal to increase melatonin. And then last but not least, we have wood, and wood is the warrior, or the protector, and we have Y-age anti-aging patches in that group that also help with immunity. And the neighbor just decided to start his buzzsaw or something, so I hope that doesn't interfere too much.
It's fine. I have a train coming by, so I'm just kind of muted up.
Yeah, I heard that. So there are three patches in the wood, or the Y-age group, and those are eon, glutathione, and carnosine. Carnosine rejuvenates tissue and helps rebuild the body. Glutathione is a powerful antioxidant, and that's the body's master antioxidant that replenishes other antioxidants in the body, like vitamin C, E, and CoQ10. And then Eon does a whole host of things, including having anti-stress and anti-aging effects, and there are a whole list of biochemical changes that I could talk about, but that would take another couple hours. But bottom line is, that's what they do.
That's awesome. So many people, have no idea like what glutathione is, or even something like endorphins. It's amazing. I had a total hysterectomy because I had a lot of issues going on that had to be taken care of. But I do have power surges. You know what? They don't bother me. I can't exercise the way that I would like to be able to. And so I do sweat lodges and things like that to sweat. But I mean, I need to do things to sweat. So I don't mind the power surge if it makes me sweat. I'm like, cool, I just got rid of some toxins or something, so
Right.
It doesn't bother me. I don't do anything to change it necessarily. But I know for some women it bothers them a lot. And there are so many ways to address that. And I just wish that, the horse that I fell from 11 years ago and wound up the way I am, she was a PMU mare, and I don't know if you're familiar with the PMU mare industry, but you are. A lot of people aren't, and that's kind of one of my soapboxes, because I really believe if the women understood that the drugs they're being put on, if they knew how they were made, if they knew how much those mares suffer and the babies suffer, they wouldn't do it. But the doctors don't tell them, any of that. They just say, here, take this pill and it'll make those hot flashes go away.
This pill made out of horse piss.
Exactly. Yeah. My mare was so traumatized when I got her. It took me a year of just sitting next to the pen with her and just, connecting energetically and stuff before I could eat, and grooming her. I mean, as the months went on, you know, we connected, but it was over a year before I tried to ride her. And it was only the second time I rode her that I fell, and it was totally my fault. And I had the intuition hit, and I ignored it. It was like classic. You know what I'm talking about. You know, when you know, you get that hit, don't do it, and you don't pay attention to it, and then something happens. But
Yep.
we learn that way, don't we?
Yeah. Well, that similar thing happened to that actor that played Superman,
Christopher Reeves. Yeah.
Reeves, right.
Mm-hmm. Did he have an intuition hit before? I didn't hear that part of it.
I don't know. That's a good question. Oh. If he did, he probably would be alive right now if he had listened to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He helped a lot of people, though, during his... Unfortunately, you know, people get real famous and then some bad shit happens, but that's like to draw attention to that greater crowd and the larger part, you know, to try to send that vibration out. It's weird how things happen, but I think I've seen a lot of, I'm a part of so many huge groups of people that are pretty much on this heart-centered energetic path now, you know, and I just see things changing all the time. This phone, I wish it would, sorry, go away.
People are calling about the patches.
They might be. I'll make sure they have your information. But, you know, it's frustrating for me sometimes because I have seen things shift. I've witnessed miracles. I've witnessed miracles in my own life. I've witnessed miracles happening to other through things, you know, through people and myself and modalities. And I can just, I mean, things can just shift in an instant, but then sometimes it doesn't, you know, and it's like, okay, we've tried this and this and this, and this and this, this and this and this and that and this, you know, and I don't know, sometimes whatever it is, whatever the reason is for that, I guess, the timing's just not right. I don't know, there's more to do. Like I've even said, I promise I will still continue everything I'm doing now, just get rid of the pain, right? Mm-hmm. But maybe they know that I wouldn't, you know, maybe they know me better than I do. So who knows? But I love helping people realize that some things can shift just by addressing. It's amazing what things can come up, what emotions or what memories, or not even from this concurrent, you know, this time, but other concurrent times. And or you find somebody who is like a huge empath that doesn't realize it, you know, and they think that everything they're experiencing is theirs, and to let them figure out that it's not, and just some real easy, quick ways to get rid of it. And it's just really rewarding. And I see more and more people open up to it. I see more of a bridge between religion and spirituality, I'm going to say, or Eastern and Western medicine. People are having to recognize now the medical ozone that I do, that is I won't call it a Western modality, but it is a physical, you know, actual treatment modality. But they use it in other countries. They teach it in the hospitals. They use it in countries that have socialized medicine more because they can't afford for everybody to be sick. You know, it's a business here in the United States with big pharma and insurance companies and all that. So
the whole system's designed to keep people sick so they can keep generating money from it.
Exactly. And in these countries that have socialized medicine, they can't afford to do that, you know, because they have to pay for everybody's sickness. So they use medical ozone. I have seen it do just incredible things. Oh my gosh, like just incredible. And I never, even though I know that things can shift just energetically in a heartbeat, for whatever reason they don't. And sometimes, I don't know, we just need these physical things. Like I've just seen people completely septic. I'm sure you're familiar with vancomycin resistant, what's it called? BRE, whatever the E stands for. And then like MRSA. I mean, MRSA is so huge in all the medical facilities now. And it's not like that in other countries because they use medical ozone and it takes care of that. I had a dear friend that was really septic with both MRSA and BRE and just had a huge wound, and we were able to heal it up with ozone. And I mean, it's God's medicine. There's a lot of, I'm very much into the herbs, and there we have a physical thing for everything, but it's because of the energy that physical thing holds. You know what I mean? So it's all provided for us.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's about 20 minutes till, and
well, let me share a quote that came up while you're talking about the connection between science and spirit.
Oh, good.
One of my mentors is a shaman named Dr. Richard Bartlett, who founded Matrix Energetics. And he often says, quote, "The big lie is that science is separate from spirit and magic does not exist."
Yeah, I love that. That's a good one. It certainly does. Yeah.
And the problem with science and allopathic medicine is they've detached themselves from spirit, so they don't get how basic healing from ancient wisdom is connecting the field of the heart with spirit. That's when everything rebalances.
Yeah.
And they just don't have that in their training or background. They think it's woo-woo, and that's why their medicine is not as successful as it could be.
Yeah. Well, and I find people are getting more and more intolerant of pharmas, thank goodness. I mean, sadly, their bodies are just rejecting them. My body has always rejected pharmas and alcohol. Like I just feel like I've been poisoned or something if I drink alcohol. But I think as the vibration of the planet is changing, as things are transitioning here, they're bumping up. They're getting to where they realize that their body doesn't tolerate them anymore, and they're seeking the ancient ways, I'll say, because these methods have been around for eons. And I love homeopathics. I studied homeopathics, and people, I've seen some amazing things happen with homeopathics too, and people just are like, "What do you mean there's not any medicine in there?" Like, I'm like, "No," but it really, I mean, not physically, but the energy's there, and it's so cool to. We've even had some like autistic kids come out of autism. Autism is a very interesting situation. I don't want to call it a condition, but it's a very interesting thing. And I don't know, are you familiar with the whole MTHFR genetic mutation around autism?
Yeah, I know what you mean. We've got a lot of neurological damage going on with it, and DNA damage.
There's something like 98% of autistic kids tested have this genetic mutation called MTHFR. And just by giving them like methylated B12 and folic acid, it can actually take them out of the autism. So, because basically they're getting toxic on vitamins that their bodies don't have the enzyme to break down. And of course, we fortify everything. A lot of people eat processed food, and it's all fortified with these vitamins that their bodies can't break down, and it's causing issues. But there's some other, like I have a granddaughter who is being labeled that, and I think I know healers that get paid millions of dollars to do what this child is doing that they're interpreting as autism. So it's all in how you look at things. and what your experience is. And like, I can see what she's doing energetically and they can't. And so to them, she's just like making these weird signs in the air. And, and I'm like, oh my God, this child's amazing. You have no idea. And she got in an argument with an adult one day, a step grandfather. And he said, he finally ended with, because I'm older than you, or something like, or no, because I'm smarter than you, or something like that. And she put her hands on her hips and looked at him. And she's like, you don't know shit. I came from the mothership. I was like, go girl.
Yeah. It's probably closer to the truth than everyone thinks.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. Oh yeah, I have no doubt. The kids coming in they have to be, because look what we've done. So it's going to take those special kids coming in to straighten some of this out.
Well, that's why there's an agenda to repress that, like the indigo kids and the star seeds coming in with a third and more strands of DNA that have empathic capabilities and telepathic capabilities that are coming to help us evolve out of 3D. They're being repressed with a lot of the toxins in our environment, not the least of which are the vaccine program agendas.
Yeah.
And, if we continue with the vaccine agenda, for example, the movie Vaxxed is a good one to see to understand what I'm talking about. About 50% of our children are going to be autistic and have ADHD within 10 years, by 2025. 80% of the boys, 50% of our kids. And California doesn't get it. I mean, the legislature is totally paid off by the petrochemical pharmaceutical industry, and they're forcing vaccinations now in children to qualify for going to public school and extending that to other schools. And now they're trying to implement a bill that will force the adult daycare attendees to have vaccines.
I saw that.
It's totally based on one system of medicine that's grounded in germ theory, where 80% of the rest of the world understands energy medicine and uses acupuncture and some form of energy or Chinese medicine. And that system of medicine is grounded in the law of the terrain, where you keep the body healthy and with the right nutrients and the right exercise and the fresh air, you can maintain your health by and large and don't need interventions. Whereas germ theory's idea is, regardless of what you eat or how bad a shape your body might be in or how shot your immune system may be, the idea is to come in with a sledgehammer and just tear up the place to kill the germs. And a lot of the germs or bugs that we have in our body are necessary for life and health. For example, we have trillions of more E. coli in our gut than we do eukaryotic cells in our body.
Yeah, all this antibacterial everything, it's crazy. That's one thing I love about medical ozone, is that it's antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, but it will not attack a healthy cell. It's almost like a free radical in the body that only attacks the bad stuff and enhances the other stuff. So it's really and it's so simple. People can do it every day for themselves. And now, I would not suggest they do the IV by themselves without someone there, but at least oral use or putting it in any orifice you can get it in, is always a good idea. But I've actually seen it injected right into tumors. I've seen brain tumors treated through a stethoscope. You just run the ozone through like a really clean oil, maybe a super extra virgin olive oil, and then the ozone gas bubbles through that and then comes up through the stethoscope into the ears. And I've seen brain tumors treated that way, and it's just really, like, I've seen so many people get infections in the hospitals, infections they didn't have before they went in, you know. And if they would just use it in our hospitals and our facilities, and now MRSA's even spreading to like school gyms and places like that, unfortunately, where there's no way to get ahead of it there. So people, I just encourage people to learn ways to deal with their health themselves, because even though I was a nurse for 20 years, my experience for the last 11 years is they have not been able to really, other than the surgery, do anything to help me. And so I've really had to take it into my own hands and learn how to, I mean, I will stitch myself up before I go to the ER, because that's how much I dislike the hospitals now, you know.
Yeah.
I just, like, my children have ozone machines, and, you know, this is what you do, these are the herbs you use, or this is the home, you know, and thankfully they'll call me and say, well, what should I use for this or whatever, you know, if they don't know.
Yeah, people are just dying to get in. So we have about 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
So if you would like, you can set up the case you were going to ask me about.
Yeah, for sure.
That's with me, and I got to go get something in the meantime, so I'll be right back.
Awesome. So the case that I would like to work on today is a dear friend who went through quite a lot of stress recently with losing her father, and then shortly after that was diagnosed herself with a very rare form of cancer that is considered a vaginal squamous cell cancer. And ovarian cancer is, there's, you know, a lot more research and stuff done on that, and some of the other forms, but this particular form, there isn't much that they would want to offer her except chemo and radiation, which of course we know how harmful that is to the body. She has refused the chemo, although she is going to go for the radiation. She has been on Kangen Water for 7 or 8 years now, and she is addressing her diet as far as acidity and alkalinity and things like that. So I would love to just do some restructuring work on her. They've done 2 surgeries on her and pretty much removed everything. Now it's in the rectal wall, and they're saying she has to do this radiation, and I've already told her that it's going to cause major issues. So I need to reprogram her. One, I would love for her not to do the radiation. No, I have no need to, because she's perfect already, you know. And yeah, that's just where I'd like to go with that. We won't even put any other options in there. I can't hear you, though. You're muted.
Unfortunately, the modalities that are currently legal and being used are damaging to the body.
Yeah.
Radiation and chemotherapy are both oxidizing and tissue damaging.
Yes, and they've already told her, because they removed the vagina basically, and now they say it's in the rectal wall, and they don't want to do surgery, but they've already told her that the radiation will cause a fissure, causing her problems between her ureters and her rectum, you know, and she's could wind up with a gastrostomy and all kinds of stuff. So I would just love to avoid that whole, I don't like that plan at all. I think now that she's had the majority of the tumor removed, that this is a great time to switch completely to natural remedies. She's done the right thing by getting the majority of that out of there now. That's beautiful, perfect, and I think the rest of it we can just handle with food and energy. And well, food is energy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
All the ways that we handle it. So
Right. Yeah. A lot of the energy that we take in comes from our food. So you definitely want it to be raw and organic and high in antioxidant power, or have a high ORAC value.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you know Dr. Robert Morse?
No.
Morse. He is an old school naturopath practicing out of Florida. Has a ton of YouTube videos. Keeps it simple. He's an old horse doc, and or like an old horse doc. Keeps it simple, and he is, he puts people in 4th stage cancer on grapes and herbs. He's a master herbalist and brings them right out of it. So it's just getting that high energy food. People can't understand they can live on grapes, but I mean, it's beautiful. It's the perfect food. So
yeah, if it hasn't been exposed to pesticides or herbicides.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Grapes absorb a lot of that, so you definitely want raw and organic grapes. You got a lot of OPCs, oligopolymeric procyanidins, which are powerful antioxidants from the grape seeds.
Yeah.
And silica.
Yeah. That's another thing. People are really afraid of seeds for some reason. And seeds are really great, you guys. Seeds and sprouts. I learned the power of live food when I started growing my own sprouts. And it was like, wow, I could feel such a difference in my body.
Not only are the antioxidants important for helping to wipe out whatever is pathogenic or microbial, but flavonoids are important too to get rid of biofilm. And the silica is important for building the connective tissue that walls off, for example, a cancer that may be spreading, because the body walls it off.
Yeah.
And if you're hurting for minerals, including silica, it's difficult to wall it off. That's why the grapes work so well.
Yeah. Yeah, people look at cancer as the enemy, but really, I mean, the body is amazing how it walls it off like that to keep it from spreading around. At least most tumors have to be there a long time before you get any metastasis going on. So the body really does try to help by, putting it together. But then we tend to think that we have to get in there and cut it into pieces and, spread it around a little bit. It kind of complicates things. My family I've had 11 members die of cancer treatment. None of them have died of cancer. So I'm fairly, that's definitely a soapbox for me. But this lady is a dear friend. She is just full of fear of not doing what the doctor tells her that she needs to do, as many cancer patients are. They just fill them with fear, and they make them think that the only thing that can cure their type of cancer is this radiation or this chemo, and they're lying to you, you guys. I mean, there's so many different natural remedies out there and energetic, and you just need to address it from every way that you can, but not that way.
And the fear also locks up your DNA, so it's difficult to have a coherent pattern where your DNA tesseract can access your multidimensional selves to reinforce who you are in this dimension.
Yeah, that fear.
In other words, you're not fully expressed when you're locked up with fear.
Exactly. And if, you know, the doctors, some of them just don't know any different. I mean, some of them do know different, but they're not allowed to speak about the different things without it actually being able to take their license away. And it's a real tough place, I guess. I haven't been a physician, so I don't know. I know that I have chosen to leave areas of practice because I just could not hold myself in integrity to be there any longer.
Yeah.
That's just decisions that I've had to make. Same thing with the food that I eat. I'm vegan, and I need to do that for myself energetically. Not everybody, I'm not putting it off on anybody else what they can do, but for me, I feel better energetically. So everybody has to stop hiding from themselves, I think, and come back into integrity. We're seeing it happen. We're seeing it happen. These corrupt systems are falling right before our eyes, you know, and it's going to be very eye-opening for many people who aren't aware of some of these things going on. They don't realize that from the time they were a child, they've been essentially taught by the meat and dairy industry and the pharmaceutical industry, you know. But,
I got to go soon, so I'm going to
oh, yes, yes.
The website here for...
Please do. Put all your information. And I will copy that and put it into the YouTube video. And just thank you so much for being here. I know that we could talk for days, and it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and I hope you can come back on again another time.
And sure. And also, if anybody's interested in nutrition concentrates like Flavon, or electrolyzed water like Enagic's Kangen Water, then get a hold of me through Facebook. So I'll put my name on here.
Very good.
So I'm on Facebook, and if you want to private message me, you can ask questions there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Dennis.
You're welcome, Catherine.
Keep up the God work.
You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you guys next week. I can't remember who's going to be here yet, but we'll be here. I'll see you then.
Be well, everyone.
Blessings.